Episode of Done Simply. I'm your host, Achyut Nair. Today we're going to be talking to three officers of the RoboSpartans, the SLHS Robotics team. If you're not zoned to SLHS, then don't worry, because FRC and WEX can almost be found nationwide. Can you guys introduce yourself and your position to the audience?
Hi, I'm Lakshay Gupta. I'm the current president of the RoboSpartans.
Hi, I'm Mary Dell. I'm the outreach director of the RoboSpartans.
And I'm Emily Walls, the current build director.
Okay, so most eighth graders haven't heard terms like FRC or VEX. To them, or me at least when I joined, they sounded like mumbo jumbo. What exactly is VEX and FRC, and what is their difference?
Well, I can answer the FRC part first. So FRC stands for First Robotics Competition. First Robotics Competition being international high school robotics competition, and FIRST being the organization. And FIRST does a lot more than just FRC. We can get into that later.
So VAX is basically another international competition, but they play with a smaller robot. I think that will be the main difference with FRC, and they might have different games. Yeah.
The difference between the two is that FRC builds bigger robots than VEX, and the timetable is different. FRC usually only has a short period of time and a shorter competition, while VEX goes all year. The competition challenges are also different, so you'd be having different objectives being in FRC versus being in VEX.
So the majority team is FRC.
Yeah, a majority of the robotics team at Seven Lakes specifically, most of them are part of the First Robotics Competition.
And that'd be the 4639 part of it.
Yeah, FRC team 4639. Our VEX team, I believe, is 3532, which is just like a team designations.
Okay, so those numbers that we just mentioned are like numbers that just describe the team. And Lakshay, you mentioned that you were the spirit director. So what did you guys, like all three of you, what did you guys do in the FRC competitions? Like, what were your roles?
So our team is very loud. We're made up of very loud people, and we love to support our team during matches. So when our team competes when our drive team and our robot are competing in matches, we're very loud and support of them, which our drive team has said does help their performance. We also have like a set of cutout number of like Lexan numbers, which are our team numbers 4639. And we put LEDs on them and we raise them up during competitions. We're very loud during the competitions, as I said, and we're so loud and so good at spirit that we've won many different spirit awards at competitions, like just any competition.
Wait, so you can win spirit awards in these robotic competitions, which are mainly about robots, right?
Yeah, it's not just, at first isn't just about robots. It's about a lot of other stuff than just robots. Robots is just more like what you kind of join for, but then you see that there's also like community education, team morale, team building, skills building. It's a very wide organization. I think we'll probably get into that later.
So, Mary, what do you do as the Outlook director?
So as the outreach director, we didn't do, you might not see as much in the actual competition, but we are actually supporting the build team to like successfully build the robot for the competition. For example, we have the fundraising team, which is really important part of the whole team, because if we don't have money, we couldn't build anything. So for fundraising, we do a lot of fundraisers and we connect to sponsors and like we help them to advertise during the competitions. And beside fundraising, for example, we have community education, which help us to expand our robotics knowledge or like, for example, programming knowledge to our community to like attract more people interested in STEM. And then we also have a lot of other departments such as spirit, as Lakshay talked about. And we also have media to spread our team and like to introduce our team to the community and to others and attract them. So that's mostly what we did. Yeah.
At competitions, media, they do a lot of like photography and recording of stuff just so we can have videos. And we post a lot on our Instagram, like our social medias like YouTube and Instagram, about how we did the competition, some videos and that kind of stuff.
So you mentioned community education. Is this like what are some examples of it? Like, are they like camps? Are they like flyers, just courses to go through?
Yes, so for community education, we actually did, I think, 4 or 5 camps this summer, including like Java camp, engineering design camp. We're about to do the STEM camp, and then we also have a lot of other camps, so which mainly is STEM related. And then this year, due to COVID, we did them through online mostly, which were very like successful. And then so for camp, first we need to advertise, which we use the media, and then we create posters, and we like contact local news and like contact teachers to spread like our camps and like to attract more students. And we also do a lot of a prep work and like design the curriculum. And then we have the actual teaching process, which we done in Zoom, and we have like breakout room to like answer people's questions. So like it's pretty successful, but like you need to do a lot of work to prep for it.
We keep throwing on the word STEM. Can someone like explain that to a person who hasn't even heard of like who hasn't even been here before?
Science, technology, engineering, math. That's what the STEM is, in case you didn't know. We're predominantly a STEM organization, like we're science, technology, engineering, math. That's kind of our forte. So generally, the stuff we do for community education relate to STEM. We generally won't be like we'll leave it to other organizations that are more knowledgeable in those regards for community education and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we mentioned the outreach aspect, but like, where's the robot? Emily, can you tell us like what you do during these competitions?
Of course. So the build team is responsible for maintaining the robot between matches. So at competitions, we usually have the gym that has the fields on it where we actually compete. And we also have a gym that's full of pits, which is like where we take our robot back and we have our little meeting. So sometimes things get broken on the robot, so we fix it between matches. The build team also includes drivers. So a few members of the build team are actually controlling the robot on the competition field. The remainder of the team is involved in scouting, which involves meeting with other teams to discover what their robots do. So we usually have some kind of Google form and we go around and talk to the other teams and then record what they do so that we're aware of what our competition is and who we might later be allied with. We also check with other teams, see if we can help them in any way, because one of the most important parts of FIRST is teamwork and gracious professionalism, which means that we look out for each other when we can.
So earlier on, you mentioned that you were the build director, which means you're in charge of the entire build aspect of the robotics, like SLHS RoboSpartans. So what is the build team essentially?
Build team is responsible for everything that goes on to get a robot onto the field and ready to compete. This starts when we get the game challenge and ends when we finish at the competition.
So like any factory or anything, there are obvious subsections in building something. What are the subsections of a build team?
So there are 5 sub teams in the build department, and I'll go through them in the order that they come into play during a typical season. So the first subsection that we have is CAD, which stands for Computer Aided Design. Our team uses Autodesk Inventor, which allows us to 3D model a prototype of different mechanisms and eventually the entire robot. So this is like an entire working model all on the computer. Then we have manufacturing, which also works with CAD. So they have sketches and they use machining to create all of the parts that we use to assemble a robot. We use machines such as the jet mill, a lathe, the CNC, and a 3D printer. And then next we go to mechanical team where the robot's assembled. After it's assembled, the electrical team takes over and wires the entire robot. With all of these sensors and wires and sometimes even pneumatics, programming can take over and make the robot drivable and operatable. And then last but not least, we have drive team who are responsible for driving the robot. The only stipulation for drive team is that members of the drive team must be level 1 trained in one other department, so they work with the other departments before they try out.
So you mentioned 5 sub-teams. Out of all of these, if you were in the perspective of a new freshman, which one would you suggest to them?
Honestly, I would suggest going after whatever you're interested in. You don't have to have any knowledge of anything before you join. Personally, I joined mechanical and it was pretty easy to get involved, but honestly, every single subgroup is going to be very interested in helping you learn and grow and be able to be an active and helpful member of the team.
So we mentioned the new people coming in. So what are the expectations that they should understand to be a build team member?
The only expectation for build team members is that you try your best. Of course, there are safety rules, but nobody needs to come into robotics with prior knowledge. We have all sorts of training regimens that we're going to use to help you become the best member that you can be, but you absolutely do not need to know anything before coming in. The only advice I would give to people interested in robotics is that you get out of it what you put in. So if you don't put in any effort, you're not going to become an expert.
So you mentioned that you create the robots. So what are some robots less challenges that you have done in the past?
So we've been competing since 2012, and as such, we built a total of 8 robots. Each is designed to compete in a specific game or challenge, and each year the theme changes, so the robots are all very specialized. The robots that have made it the furthest are Kill Switch in 2018 that made it to state championships, and Prosperity in 2019 that made it to the world championships.
Wait, so each year you have to create a new robot?
Yeah, so every year in January we get a new theme, and we have a manual that's associated with that game, which then we take and we read it and we determine what our objectives are and what goals we want to accomplish with the robot, and we start from scratch every year.
So what are some of these themes? Like what does an average theme look like?
So the average theme has a problem that you're trying to solve. So it's kind of like, oh, this thing happened in First City, now you need to solve it. And so then there are game elements on the field that you have to manipulate in order to score points.
So would a person with video games be knowledgeable in these kind of like manipulating the robot?
Well, I'd say video games might be helpful here because you'd understand that you have a goal and you have to accomplish it.
Okay, so that
We
means
use game
anyone can.
controllers, so it's like driving around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think we have like an Xbox. I think we use like a PS5 controller, some PlayStation controller. I think for controlling our robot.
That certainly
Game
sounds
experience.
interesting to the people who have played. So in SLHS, the opportunities are wide. So this is also apparent in robotics because when I talk to them, you don't necessarily have to build aspects. So the RoboSpartans offer you a better option, outreach, a more creative and more social media aspect of robotics. Lakshmi and Mary, you guys were in the section for robotics for some time now. Can you tell what this subsections of outreach and what they do, and what are some expectations for the members and what you guys have done in previous years?
I can go over that part. So you have like it's like when you enter robotics, the general like you have what you expect. Like you have your build aspects, your building, designing, programming, and all that stuff. But a lot of people don't realize just how much has to go into robotics that isn't just purely building. Like as Mary said, robots are very expensive, and we have to raise the money, which we do through fundraisers like going to sponsors, hosting fundraisers at our school, camps, even all to raise our money. Mary also talked about media being like our social media aspect of it, our design, our posters, design graphics. So if you're interested in art, photography, animation, we do that as well. Video design, media is very good for you to get into. Also, Spirit, as I mentioned before, with competitions, their Spirits mostly does their work in competitions when they're boosting team morale and cheering everyone on. And Spirit also hosts socials for everyone because we like to meet outside of we like to have some like casual events where we can just talk and have fun together outside of a more serious sense. Yeah, those are some of the sections of outreach.
So you mentioned Spirit Awards, and I just want to ask for all of the people, what are the types of awards that you can find in an FRC competition?
Oh, there are loads of awards. There's other than Spirit Award, there's like an imagery award for like the best kind of media design. You also have the Chairman's Award. The Chairman's Award is like the most prestigious award in FRC, and the Chairman's Award is awarded to the team that does the most community impact. So like doing camps, doing outreach events, all that stuff like boosts chairmans. So you can tell that first isn't just about robots, it's also about enriching the community. You also have a Dean's List Award, which is about honoring students who've done a lot for their team, and same for Woody Flowers, which is for our parent mentors who work really hard to make sure that their kids can participate in first, and that award is meant to honor them.
Have the RoboSpartans won any of the aforementioned awards that you talked about?
Yeah, we've 2 years ago we won the Dean's Award for our president from 2 years ago. Was not president then, but I think she was build director at that point. We won the Woody Flowers Award a while ago, I believe, and we've never won the Chairman's Award. But we're going to keep trying at that one. Keep doing camp. I think we're getting an increasingly good chance because we've started to go more into community education as the years go on. So I think we're getting a good chance with that one.
So now the questions for the majority of the audience. Who or which type of person can apply for the robotics team?
So I believe that everyone's eligible to join the robotics team because we don't require any prior knowledge, such as you need to have mechanical or electrical, any knowledge, because we're going to teach them all. We have Google Classroom, we have really good just students helping you. So like you really don't need to have any prior knowledge. That's why I was saying that everyone is eligible to join. But if you wanted to join, you might want to have a thinking that I'm going to participate in this team, because if you don't participate, then you're not going to get anything from it. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree completely that we try and structure our team so that it's very friendly to people coming in. Because first is about giving everyone the knowledge that they need to succeed in STEM. So we want to put everyone, and we want to make sure it's completely accessible to them. So yeah, I definitely agree that as long as you're interested in joining, and you have the drive to like try and learn, then you're the best kind of person we could ask for joining robotics.
Emily, you got something to say about this?
No, I totally agree with everything that's been said. And honestly, it's great for everyone because of the wide range of things we do between build and outreach. So really people of all backgrounds and ideas are so amazing.
So what are the benefits of being in the robotics team? I have a passion to learn. I want to go in and I want to find something that I learned. Like, what is something that I benefit from this, like 2 or 3 years that I'm in this robotics?
For me, in my opinion, I think the biggest benefit is just how much experience you can gain from robotics that you really wouldn't be able to gain anywhere else from like a classroom or from another club. At robotics, we teach you real design stuff like building robots, networking to sponsors. We raised 12K this summer. That's generally something I'd bet that most clubs don't generally do that, or nor do they teach camps and stuff. So I think what's great about us is that we give experience that you normally wouldn't get in a traditional setting.
So you mentioned experience that's different. So are you talking about practical wisdom?
Yeah, practical experience. In the classroom, you might learn some theory, but without actually doing stuff with your hands, without
application.
doing the actual work, it's not without application, you're not going to get as far. And I think we definitely give the application part, and we teach the practical skills. Yeah.
So I would say that the benefits of robotics have several aspects. The first one is maybe like she said about like your basic skills. For example, if you join the build team, you can get like mechanical skills, learn how to use all the tools. If you join like outreach, you can learn how to use like different softwares such as Photoshop or other things, or like learn how to do fundraisers. So these will be like the first aspect. The second aspect, I would say that since a lot of people talk about teamwork's important in high school, I would say robotics is a really good place to apply this, because we have so many different teams work together. We talk together. We use Slack as a communication tool to like communicate, and then like everybody like drawing and provide ideas. So I think here really present the teamwork. And then lastly, I would say it just I guess it's just application still, like now you only have like the knowledge in class, but like you can also apply them in robotics. You can like have all the tools, even though you want to do like, you want to use those expensive tools, we have them in robotics. If you want to use them, you can, and you can learn them. So it's really cool.
In my opinion, robotics is a great way to meet people. And so like not only as a team are we like family, but competitions are also an amazing way to network with people from around the state, country, and world. And so that's been my favorite part about robotics is just the diversity of people that you get to meet.
So for the three of you, if there was any chance of going back in time, is there anything that you wished you learned earlier about this RoboSpartans or just robotics in general? And what would it be?
For me, I'd say I wish I knew just how chill the people were. Like coming in as a freshman, you definitely have the big expectations of the upperclassmen. It's like, oh, these guys are like the geniuses. These guys are like they know what they're doing in robotics. So you're kind of intimidated by them. But once you start getting to talk to them, they're like very chill people and they're very similar to you. They just have a bit more experience. It's like once you start talking to people, you can find people with the same interests and hobbies as you. For me, I talk to so many people in robotics because like there's such a wide variety that a lot of them have the same interests as me. I've also been introduced to a completely new stuff that I've never been able that I would never do if it was never introduced to me. So I think it's just great if I would have known a bit earlier to like, oh, if they won't bite, just go and talk to them.
I completely agree with Lakshay, and I will give actual and real examples. So basically, when I came in, I was really scared too, and I didn't have a lot of knowledge about robotics and I didn't even have any like basic knowledge such as physics or stuff like that. And I was surprised at one time that one of the older students taught me how to do a gearbox. And when he was teaching me that, he actually start with the basic physics principles about like the gears and stuff like that. And I was actually surprised because I thought he's just gonna teach me how to do it, but then he actually start from the really basics, which he didn't need to teach me because she just need to teach me how to do it. But then he actually started with basic principles and he taught me those, and then he taught me how to do the gearbox, and he gave me some of his experience to how to do it efficiently and like how to do it well. And then finally, like I can do a gearbox on my own. So I think that would be my personal experience that like everybody in robotics is really helpful, and like if you ask them, they're gonna help you. Yeah.
I think the one advice that I would give to myself when I was younger is just to ask so many questions. Like nobody at robotics is gonna bite. Everyone's nice. So honestly, like ask as many questions as you can because you're gonna get a whole lot more out of it if you ask the questions that you have instead of holding it in, because then it's just gonna hold you back.
So it's almost the time of the year to go back to school. So for incoming freshmen, can you guys tell them where to sign up for this robotics?
Well, if you're going to Seven Lakes and you're going to go to like Spartan Spectacular and stuff, we're going to have a booth there. You'll see us buy our 200-pound robots, so we'll definitely be pretty noticeable. We'll give you our brochure and that kind of stuff. For finding the brochure, that can be found on their website, team4639.org, and scroll down a bit on the homepage, and we have our brochure digitally. And on there is the QR code for our registration form. Once you sign up for the registration form, we'll get in contact with you and we'll start your member registration.
So when is Spartan Spectacular? So these incoming freshmen from Seven Lakes don't forget.
I think it's August 16th, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
All right, cool. So once again, it's at team4639.org, and that's the SLHS tryout. You have to finish some forms. There's no tryouts at all. You just finish it and you just go to the Zoom, I think.
Yeah.
So if you're not old enough, you don't have to be scared or you don't have to wait that long because you can go to summer camp next year. So what are the benefits of these types of summer camps?
I can take over that. So I think it's always great for interested kids to learn about these kind of tips, these kind of topics at a really young age. So if you have like stuff like Java, CAD, web development, all topics that we've taught by the way at camps, and you learn them now, like when you're in middle school or elementary, as opposed to when you're in high school. You start with a pretty big advantage, like a pretty big head start over most other kids who are learning this stuff now. So I think if you're interested, doing those kind of camps at an early age is going to give you really good knowledge and really good ability to start learning on your own. Because we teach like the basics, like, oh, this is how you can start, and then from there they have free reign to learn as much as they want.
Are there any opportunities for younger kids though, aside from summer camp?
Yes, so we also have FLL, which is the name for First Lego League, and it's also a branch of the First Robotics competition, and it's towards younger kids. So recently we've started the FLL team in like Seven Lakes Junior High School, and we plan to like make it even more and like spread more in the community to other middle schools or like to the district. And it is a really great introduction to first, and it prepares you to maybe later, such as our FRC team or like even VEX team. So I think you can like start early for this, and then you can like join maybe FRC later.
Even if you're not zoned to Seven Lakes, most schools in KISD have a first robotics, have a FRC. Most high schools have a first robotics competition team. Cinco, Tompkins, Jordan, loads of KISD teams have FRC teams. You just have to go out and find them.
And even if you're outside the country, most schools still have an opportunity. If they don't have it, you can still establish it with parents. Yes.
Yeah, like our team started when a couple of parents and a couple of kids were like, "Oh, it's a first robotics competition. That sounds like a very cool opportunity." That's how our team started. First robotics didn't come down to our school and was like, "Oh, here's a team." A bunch of students and parents who were all determined started it. And then obviously, if you have a low income community, First Robotics is very good with providing like grant money to rookie teams to get started. So yeah, until you get your footing, you can ask a older FRC team. First will give you grants for money. First is very large, so they have a lot of money to spare and are very willing to do it. So they'll help you to start a team.
Yeah, and as we said, the first is the international competition. So there will be like other countries also have teams for first. For example, like there's teams from Japan, from China, from Australia, etc. So like even though you're not in the US, you can still participate in FRC.
Well, there we have it. 3 officers gave basic frequently asked questions about robotics. This is a Chutney. Remember to stay safe and like the video. Thank you.